Hey guys, Max here. So this is Google Pixel 6 Pro. Now I know there are already plenty of videos out there giving reviews about this phone. Also, with all the leaks that we have seen for several months prior to release, leaves us with very little to imagine when it comes to this device. Honestly speaking, I have wanted to record a video about this phone on day one when I first received it on October 28th. But I don't believe in first-hand impressions, as to me it's like judging a book based on the cover. In some ways, my move is definitely not a smart move when it comes to ranking up those views, if you know what I mean. But I'm all about giving unbiased review that is meant for someone who's considering investing into this device. So, if you are that someone who's thinking about purchasing this phone, or already have one and unsure if you want to keep it or return it, then I think this video is for you. I have been using this phone as my daily device, and my usage can relate to a lot of people out there, such as making calls or texting, shopping on Amazon and other sites or apps, watching movies and television shows on Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Discovery Plus, and other streaming service providers. Definitely, I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos. Let's not forget social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Listen to music utilizing internal speakers, connecting it to Bluetooth speaker, and using Bluetooth in-ear and over-ear headphones. And of course, I tested that camera in and out by taking pictures, videos, selfies, and portrait mode. Honestly, I did not play games using this device, as generally I'm not big on games, but if and when I do play games, I use my computer. Or if I'm on the go and I want to play mobile games, I would use my Galaxy Z Fold 3, as it has a bigger display and foldability that just offers extra when it comes to gaming. Now, I do want to be upfront that I was never a fan of Pixel line. Simply put, I always found Pixel devices to be lacking when it's placed into competition with other top players out there. While I'm a huge fan of Android, unfortunately I did not feel the same for every single Pixel that came out, because aesthetically, it just could not win me over, either because of those extra thick bezels, or bigger chin than its competitors, or that forehead that just screamed at you, "Look at me." The only Pixel I did have was Pixel 4 XL, which lasted with me for only one day. That exact forehead and dim display was enough for me to pay a restocking fee and never look back. I buy these devices with my own money. Of course, I always try to get the best deals, whether with a trade-in or a promotion, but I always consider these two important factors before buying a device. One, being a display, and two, being speakers. Of course, battery is important, but I do not rely on public transportation, so I could charge at any time or just buy a portable battery. Then, there's a camera. And in the world that we live in today, most would say that camera is very important. While I totally agree, but on the other hand, if I want a professional photo or video, I'll use my actual camera for that. But for on the go taking pictures or videos, the phones that we have out there today, most are more than capable. One fact I want to point out is that this phone costs $899.99, literally 900 bucks, which is a new low for a flagship device. But after using this device, I do not place it in a flagship category when it comes to comparing it with other top players out there. Sure, it is a flagship device from Google, but I place it in between budget device category to a premium flagship device. There are people out there who have said that Google did it, gave us a $900 flagship device, which means Samsung and Apple has no excuse to charge us what they're charging now. See, Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra was released with the price tag of $1,200, and iPhone 13 Pro Max was released with an $1,100 price tag. But, and there is a big but when you start comparing these three, and I did. Unfortunately, Pixel 6 Pro never took first place overall when faced against the other two. I will cover 5 things in this video: aesthetics appeal, display, speakers, battery, camera. And I'll talk about some of the annoying things specifically about this device and Android 12. I will give a rating from 0 to 10, 0 being the worst and 10 being the best. Absolutely beautiful, with a drum roll best looking device in my opinion for 2021. This is stormy black. Although I definitely call it a gray beauty. I just love these two tones of different gray. Just adds character, and this camera bump fits just so perfectly. Sure, it is glossy, but it reminds me of classic piano gloss, which looks very elegant. It is a fingerprint magnet, but not as bad when you compared it to Samsung Galaxy Note 10, which when you touch the ones look like you just rubbed it with oil. Fingerprints are there when you're using this phone caseless, but they are easy to take care of if you're using a fiber cloth. Plus, I would not recommend using this device without a case because it is super slippery. Place it on an uneven surface. This phone will slide down faster than you on your skis coming down on a bunny slope. Speaking about cases, when this phone was released, finding a case reminded me of last year when I received my Z Fold 2. There were barely any cases to choose from, and the ones that were available were either overpriced or just simply ugly. Sure, Google released their case for $30, a plastic case that absolutely did not stand out in my opinion. And I remember seeing similar cases for around $5 in the past for my other devices. On Amazon, selection was very limited. And again, price made just no sense for available to ship cases, which again were way too bulky or just ugly. So I was left with ordering cases that would ship late November to mid-December, or pre-order one that would only specify availability but not listing shipping time frame. I said forget it, and I turned into the unknown world of eBay, but I'm so happy I did, because I ordered this 3 cases for under $23. The material back case is my favorite one. Slim and just feels so good. I'm not advertising or endorsing this case, but I'm just happy I was able to get a case that I like for so much less than what Google charged just for their one case. Going back, talking about the aesthetic look. This camera bump looked so much bigger in the images that I've seen before getting this device in my hands, and I honestly love it. It does protrude, but not by much, and it is very convenient when you're holding it in your hands. I don't know if it was designed in mind for that purpose, but totally genius. At the same time, when placing it on the flat surface, it does not wobble and slightly raises it to your face. Absolutely love how this phone looks, and I rate it 10 out of 10. Now, the button layout, that was a questionable choice. Even after using it on a daily basis, I still end up clicking the volume button when intending to press the power button. Definitely will take time to get used to it. Actually, the biggest reason why I wanted to make a first impression video was just because how much I loved the look and feel of this phone, which feels so natural in your hand with its curves. Now, all that changed when I turned it on. So next up, display. See, when we were first graced with early videos of this device from YouTube big reviewers, way before this phone was set to be released, first, they were very limited with embargo. But then, when embargo was lifted, in my opinion, they were so biased and way too positive, creating unrealistic expectations. I basically felt like I was drinking honey instead of water from a water bottle. So many voice how bright this display is, and I get it. What company wants to give their product for a negative publicity? So of course, I think these reviewers just shower this device with positivity. Truth is, brightness is okay if you plan to stay indoors. Typical use brightness is 500 nits, with max brightness for HDR content is 800 nits. Now compare that to the S21 Ultra brightness, which maxes out at 1500 nits. See, brightness is super important when it comes to richness for HDR content. But putting HDR to the side, in direct sunlight, I found myself frequently using my hand to cover the display from the sunlight in order to be able to see something, which issue I do not have when I use iPhone 13 Pro Max or S21 Ultra. Now, if you are a night owl, this is not going to be an issue for you. Realistically speaking, unless you're laying on the beach, I doubt sunlight would be a frequent issue. Again, $900. It's more affordable than $1,100 or $1,200. So I'm sure compromises had to be made. But putting brightness aside and just concentrating on display itself, 512 ppi for a 6.7-inch display is pretty impressive, which is nearly what S21 Ultra is at 515 ppi, but with a 6.8-inch display. An iPhone 13 Pro Max is rocking 458 ppi, which is also 6.7-inch display as Pixel 6 Pro. Colors on Pixel 6 Pro are rich and vibrant. Not as punchy as they are on S21 Ultra display, but then again, Samsung keeps best for themselves. And of course, let's not forget the level of brightness. I definitely do not recommend comparing this display to any other. By itself, it is perfect. But when facing with another two devices I frequently mention in this video, you begin to see where savings were made. And hopefully you are able to see how beautiful these colors are on your end as I see on mine. I do want to point out where I think Google made some savings when it comes to this display. And if you look closely to, and I don't know if you already picked it up in this video, there are lines going up this display. You definitely see it up close when you're looking at a darker display. And importantly, I do want to point out that you do not see any of this outcome when you're looking directly at the display. You only see it when you're using another device to record it. Like for example, currently I'm using Sony ZV-E10 and you could see these lines right here. I also used S21 Ultra and iPhone 13 Pro Max cameras to record Pixel 6 Pro display, and I also saw these lines. Now, I tried recording video of displays of S21 Ultra and iPhone 13 Pro Max in comparison to see if I see these lines, because all three of them using an OLED display, and I did not see lines on S21 Ultra nor iPhone 13 Pro Max. So to me, it says that Google, in my opinion, is saving money by delivering a cheaper display. So considering level of brightness, when compared to competition, and a 512 ppi 6.7-inch display with an outstanding color output and the price, I am rating this phone 7 out of 10. I do definitely wish the display was much brighter, as its weakness shows in direct sunlight, and overall display is vibrant, but it lacks that punch that S21 Ultra and iPhone 13 Pro Max delivers. Next up, sound. First, the earpiece speaker is useless. It lacks any bass or any fullness, just adds teeny lifeless sound, which in my opinion is useless and more of an excuse in order to call this device with dual speakers that offers stereo sound. Fact is, yes, there are two speakers, but if you cover the bottom speaker, you'll notice how bad the sound is just from the earpiece. Also, this looks like it has two speakers on the bottom. Let me show it to you. But the music sound comes only from the right one. I'm gonna play music samples and hopefully you guys get to hear what I hear on my end. I do have a wireless microphone here, Sony, and I will have it close to me, so this way if you see I'm pointing phone to me, it's because I want to direct the sound towards the to the microphone so you guys could hear what I hear. Let's start with the first sample. Hopefully you guys get to hear what I hear, and honestly, even when I cover the speaker, the earpiece, it doesn't change the outcome. Now if you cover the bottom one, it kind of like sucks out 90% of the sound. 100% of bass, the fullness completely gets cut out when I cut the bottom speaker. So most of the sound does come from here. I don't get the sense of stereo output that I get, like for example with an iPhone 13 Pro Max. The sound system on the iPhone, it's just absolutely beautiful. It gives you that fullness. Even if you cover the bottom speaker, the earpiece delivers beautiful sound. S21 Ultra overall also gives loud sound, not as rich in my opinion as iPhone is, but it definitely delivers much better sound quality than Pixel 6 Pro. Let's play next sound, and this is where I want to illustrate the distortion. Ugh. That was painful. Painful to listen. My ears did not like this. So, to sum it up, when you listen to music from a good sound system, you get this full, complete output where it just went through the whole process of completion and it just delivered a perfect, complete, put together sound. With sound coming out of Pixel 6 Pro, the sound is not complete. The the higher parts of the music is above the bass. The bass is kind of gets lost and distorted. It's just not an enjoyable experience when it comes to the speakers. I definitely would not use this phone for a source of listening to music from the speakers or watching movies. It just gets, the sound just gets lost. To me, it sounds like as if the phone is on the bottom of a small barrel and you're getting this kind of weird sound coming in from the inside rather than coming in all outside. It just does not deliver enjoyable experience. Now, if you are a headphones user, then ignore speaker sound output altogether, because this is where Pixel 6 Pro surprised me. Being so disappointed by speakers, I did not expect to be greeted with such amazing sound by utilizing Bluetooth headphones. And I use Sony WF-1000XM4 and Sony WH-1000XM4. Although I personally do not like to wear headphones all the time and would have loved to enjoy both Bluetooth headphones or speakers depending on my usage need. See, Apple owns Beats, so I expect them to deliver outstanding sound in their products. And honestly, even when iPhones only had one mono speaker on the bottom, before Apple purchased Beats, it was still better sounding than most of devices during that time, until HTC changed the game, in my opinion, with their dual speakers made by Beats. Now Samsung owns AKG, and they have been delivering outstanding sound too, which was not so before they purchased AKG brand. And that mono speaker was a total disappointment. But AKG changed that game for them, especially when enabling Dolby Atmos on S21 Ultra. And honestly, I tried to see maybe there wasn't a similar option with Pixel 6 Pro, like Dolby Atmos or something that I needed to enable in order to engine out the speakers I heard these reviewers positively brag about. Unfortunately, they are as they are and you get what you get. The question is, which sound system brand does Google own? Because these speakers, to me, were very disappointing, especially when comparing to iPhone 13 Pro Max and S21 Ultra. Now, let's talk about battery. And with that, I was blown away. One thing I have always seen Android devices struggle with is battery juice, because Android takes more power to run, especially if it has extras on top of it, like for example Samsung adding their own touches on top of Android OS. See, iPhones in generally have amazing battery, especially in iPhone 13 Pro Max. That battery just keeps on going as if it's made out of solar panels. So going back to battery life expectation for an Android, for me, it's always hope for the best, but expect the worst. Boy, oh boy, was I surprised with battery life on Pixel 6 Pro. To give an example, I spent 5 to 6 hours with a complete screen on usage at max brightness, meaning I watched a movie on Netflix, videos on YouTube, and I spent a while on TikTok. And after all that usage, I still had 59% of battery left. I was shocked. With light usage, I believe this phone can last 2 days without a charge. Because with moderate usage, I was able to get a day and a half from this phone. Of course, that includes me being asleep during night and my phone was not charging. So hands down, rating it 9 out of 10 if comparing it to iPhone 13 Pro Max. But in the Android territory, 10 out of 10. I wish I can show you my screen on usage, but with Android 12, I do not see how I can do that. So just to give an example, it says I have 48% of battery left, and that gives me 1 day and 5 hours of usage. We could go over here, click on battery, so you can figure out whatever that means. And then I do have adaptive preferences enabled, so you could see. Then I don't do battery sharing because I generally am always available to charge my devices. But in generally, I was absolutely amazed at how much battery I was getting from this phone, and comparing it how thin it is and light, I was expecting not to get such great, amazing results when it comes to this battery usage. Let's talk about camera, which is what Pixel devices have been known for at least last several years. I'd even say it is the camera that competitors have been trying to beat. But this year, competition is very steep, as other devices have made great changes to nearly match what Pixel 6 Pro can do. Also, out of my results, it was a mixed bag, during which I did not see a clear winner. And this is referring to main cameras on the back. I found that Pixel 6 Pro struggled with overexposure when it was faced with a sunny day, without any shade. So let me show you some of the photos that I took. In an ideal situation, if you are under a tree or some shade with plenty of light out there, Pixel 6 Pro does take beautiful photography. But then again, so does iPhone 13 Pro Max and S21 Ultra. Also, with Pixel 6 Pro, I found zooming capability delivered very choppy looking images, pixelated and not clear. I'm not talking about gimmicky 100 times zoom that you get with S21 Ultra. I'm referring to 2 or 4 times zoom. Now, some of you might wonder if I am on the latest firmware, and the answer is yes. I've taken images holding Pixel 6 Pro with my hands, attaching it on the tripod and a gimbal, but the results were very similar. Nighttime photography with main camera also did an okay job, but I would pick S21 Ultra over Pixel 6 Pro when comparing images. And again, this is my opinion, but I have taken a lot of nighttime photography and I sent it as a blind test to a lot of people without letting them know which phone took the image. And S21 Ultra received more selections over Pixel 6 Pro. Here's a simple shot that I took of my dog Lilo at night. Now, the phone was mounted on a tripod and there was no movement. Now, Pixel line, going back to 4XL, was heavily advertised for astrophotography. So nighttime should be a good capability of this phone, especially when it was advertised with the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro release. But zooming in on this shot, you could see how poor of a quality this image is. There's no clarity, there's no definition, it is just poor image all around. Let me bring the roof down with mind-blowing selfie results from Pixel 6 Pro. I have never, let me say it again, never seen such beautiful selfies. And I'm not even referring to how I looked in these images. I'm referring to details, as if I was being photographed with a DSLR. Sure, I posed for these images, but I did not look for ideal situations to take the selfies, and they look just great. I do want to point out that you can actually see computation effect post taking a selfie.
Takes a second or so when image changes in front of your eyes from how it initially looked. If I had to pick one thing, it would be at how it struggled to take pictures of my neck. I do not know if it's because some sort of computation where it tries to add shadow or just darkening isolation from my face, but end product made my skin and my neck look 10 to 20 years older. Let me show you one example. Here's an image. Let me zoom in. So as long as you're not zooming in, please don't, then you'll find my selfie looking at a professional level. But even with neck outcome, I'll take it over the other phones. So if my life involved taking lots of selfies daily and constantly posting on social media networks, then I would pick this phone for that alone. So portrait mode and selfies on Pixel 6 Pro is absolute winner with rating 9 out of 10. Back camera, I would rate 8 out of 10. Video. Here's my one-word summary of video experience. Trash. Yep, you heard me correct. Total trash. While it might look okay on a display when recording a video, but during a playback, especially watching it on other devices such as computer or tablet, the experience is just nauseating. The lag and stutter, it makes you want to turn it off before even getting to the end of it. I've taken videos with multiple settings, changing frame rates, going from 4K to 1080. The outcome is still trash. So I thought maybe it's my hands, even though I have very steady hands since I work in the medical field. No, I'm not a surgeon. I am a nurse, so my hands are pretty on point when it comes to control in my opinion. But just for comparison, I decided to use my DJI gimbal. The outcome, yep, you guessed it right, same trash. I don't know what is going on when it comes to video processing, but the outcome is absolutely useless. So if you need a device to record some special events, you'll be very disappointed in my opinion if you use this phone. I am on the latest firmware as mentioned, so hopefully they can address this issue with the future update and that this is not due to a faulty hardware. So in order to save time, this is the video that you're seeing now on the Pixel 6 Pro. But I have it posted in my videos if you want to watch it. So my rating for this video capability is 2 out of 10. I think I covered most of the things about this phone. Now let me talk about some things that absolutely annoy me. First of all, camera. If you are taking pictures, you can enable mirror mode. Now this is good. So basically pictures are exactly of what you see. But it is not the same when it comes to video. I was unable to locate mirror mode, so your videos of yourself, for example, save as the opposite from what you are seeing on a display. And there's no way to even edit that after, without downloading a third-party app. So I thought easy fix would be to download a third-party camera app, since Google during presentation mentioned how this phone will pretty much deliver stunning results even when using non-Google camera app. So here I go downloading a camera app. Let me show it to you. I downloaded an app right here. So this is Google camera app and this is non-Google. Let me try again. And it gives me an error code. So since I do have a DJI gimbal, I said, well, let me try DJI Mimo app that I could use with DJI gimbal. Here's DJI Mimo app, crash, again, and there's a code. So long story short, video is trash in any way you look at it, in my opinion. Next thing annoys me is that you cannot delete this search bar. Nor can you delete this date weather widget. You cannot create folders within app drawer. So if you need to get to an app that begins with a Z, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom. Android is known for customizing capability. And here it reminds me of limitations that you get with iOS. Sure, you could do more things, but the limitations are there. Now my friends tell me, oh, download a Nova launcher. Hello, I bought Pixel 6 Pro for vanilla Android experience, so why would I want to use a third-party launcher? Might as well stick with a Samsung device without needing to download a launcher and get far more customizing capability. I get it, these are small things to pick up, but if your personality is about individuality, well, here it's more about enjoyability. So, if you are a gamer, I'm not going to go into covering games, but if you are wondering whether you could use this phone with controllers. So this is a GameSir controller. It's a USB-C controller which offers instant response when it comes to using the controller. It is a USB-C, so benefits of USB-C controller versus Bluetooth is very minimalistic delay. You can use Bluetooth controllers, which this is Xbox controller, but it definitely doesn't offer such a natural fit when it comes to, like, for example, using this. You can't use this attachment devices when it comes to Bluetooth controllers such as Xbox or PlayStation. The next option is Kishi controller, which is also a USB-C controller, but because of the camera bump, it does not fit into it so natively when compares to other less bumpy phones. So you definitely do have options out there. Wow, I wanted to make a short video, but somehow with what I had to cover, it is far from short. So if you made it to the end, thanks for watching. Please comment below for any input or question.